Hey, honey. Hello, darling.
You think it's subjectively better, do you? Okay. That concept of like a scholar. Like, so funny, connected it. Because in my mind, I'm like, you're really fast on this. Yeah. Yeah. And he said, just go back. Show not tell.
Hello, and welcome to another Wild Ones book club. So, for this pick, the winning book was Le Fay, which is the second in the Morgan Le Fay series by Sophie Keach. I did really thoroughly enjoy the first one, where we're getting Morgan's sort of backstory, her villain origin story. Is she really a villain, though? I don't think so. So, I am thoroughly excited to see how it goes, to see how it progresses. I have decided that I'm just going to clue you in after the first chapter and then every 50 pages going forward, so I'm not inundating you with all of the information. The bookstore that I went to was the Chestnut Tree. This one is also a cafe. So whilst I did love the selection of books, with the cafe situation, some of the tables are literally placed at the end of the book aisles, and there are books like all around the people. But when I was trying to find a book, I didn't want to go and stand right next to the people and be like, oh, excuse me, just over your shoulder, you know? So there was a lot of the aisles which were out of access for me because I just didn't feel comfortable intruding on people's space while they're having private conversations. So I did find it a little bit tricky to find a book, and I ended up just rushing it because I felt weird standing there overhearing their conversations. But, you know, if you want to go and have a coffee and buy a book, great place to do that. And the book that I picked was The Glad Shout by Alice Robinson. So this won the Readings Prize in 2019. And it says, after a catastrophic storm destroys Melbourne, Isabel flees to higher ground with her husband and young daughter. Food supplies run low, panic sets in, and still no help arrives. To protect her daughter, Isabel must take drastic action. It says this is a book of rare depth and texture, told in a starkly visual and compelling narrative. It's a profound, moving homage to motherhood and the struggles faced by women in difficult times. So let's see what it's rated. It is sort of reminding me of that other book that I read from another Wild Ones book club. I'll put it up here. Hopefully it's a bit better than that one was. Okay, so the rating is a 3.78, so that's decent. Over 3.5 is still good. No one I know has read it, and it is classed as a dystopian climate change litfic with a bit of speculative fiction in it. Okay, so we'll see how it goes. It is about 310 pages, so decent. But I will be reading those two books for this vlog. Okay, so I just read the first chapter, which was about 20 pages, and she's just talking about her life in her brother, King Arthur's castle. She still has not returned with her son to her husband, King Urien, although he has sent many, many threats, and there is about to be some big gathering of all the lords, but her ex-husband will not be amongst them. So far it was fine. It's obviously just catching everybody up on where everyone is, but it wasn't like an amazing first chapter, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so I've read another 50 pages. Basically, Arthur's returned home. Merlin's given him Excalibur. He's entrusted it to Morgan, which I think is actually pronounced Morgan. I'm just going to call her Morgan. Guinevere is an absolute bitch. Morgan's ex-lover, who broke her heart, has returned as a famous knight and is seeking to join their court, and pretend he didn't know her. He's like a new knight, who dis. And Morgan's husband, the king, has demanded that her son be returned to him. And I did cry at that scene when she had to let her son go. Oh my God, no thank you. I would be like, okay, this is when I turn scorched earth and destroy everything. So that's where we're currently at. Morgan is still healing poor people against Queen Guinevere's demands. And King Arthur just continually tells her how much he trusts her. I trust you. I trust you very much.
I trusted you, I trusted you, I trusted you, I trusted you, I trusted you.
So there's some foreshadowing going on. But at the moment, she's just deciding what she's going to do, especially in regards to her son being taken to her husband. Okay, so basically, she's reignited her love with her ex-lover. In the first book, he had left to make something of himself, but then he came back and he saw her with her new husband, so he thought she had betrayed him. Oh, I'm crying because it's so sweet. And then she hated him for abandoning her, not fighting for her, and they've been bantering and spiteful towards each other, but they just had a moment where they were open and honest, and they both still love each other, and they're having a little torrid affair because she's a married woman, but it's so sweet. The romance is so sweet, and I just think it's going to end in tears and blood. Okay, so I just read until page 200, and basically what's happened is Morgan's pregnant with her lover's baby, and Guinevere discovered it and threatened her to either leave Camelot or she was going to expose her. Naturally, she would burn at the stake for the adultery. And so she's decided what to do is to finally accept Merlin's request to teach her for a year out of sight so that she can birth her baby and then return to Camelot with nobody the wiser. Merlin is a cretin. He's a disgusting, disgusting man. She's also there with a lady of the lake, so they're sort of forming a bond. And yeah, he's meant to be teaching her to enhance her powers, but obviously there is something that he's gaining from this as well. Like, the lady of the lake warned her, don't let Merlin know you have innate magic, because Merlin doesn't. All of his was learned. And yeah, she's like, if he knows what you have, he'll want it. And he'll want you. So we will see what is going to happen. Okay, so I'm at page 250. Oh my God, there's so much happening. So she gave birth to the baby, and Merlin took it and hid it. And because of the way the oath was worded to hide the baby from the royal court, that also means her and the baby's father. So they will literally never be able to find the child, and it was a son. So naturally, Morgan is so angry. So she gets Ninian, Lady of the Lake, to teach her some charms. She wants to see if she can undo it, even though Lady of the Lake said it can't be undone. It's fey magic. You will never find him. In the meantime, Merlin got her to learn necromancy. He's unable to do it, but Morgan was able to bring creatures back from the dead. Merlin is now deciding that he's going to claim that he did that, because of course. So he chains her up, heads back to Camelot to tell Arthur he can, bring stuff back from the dead. Morgan was a step ahead, put fake notes out for Merlin to steal, so he actually doesn't know how she's done it. In the meantime, she escaped the castle that she was kept in. Lady of the Lake is nowhere to be seen. She was heading back to Camelot because her son from the other king was meant to be returning back. She got waylaid and almost died, but thankfully, her trusted friends and her lover happened upon her, saved her life with Excalibur, and they all went back to her family home, so her mother's home. She told her lover that they had a child, but the child is pretty much lost to them. She wrote a letter to her brother Arthur. She believed that her brother Arthur was sending a party to escort her back to Camelot so that she could, actually tell him what's been going on with Merlin and expose his deceit. However, Merlin shows up instead. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And it's been decreed by King Arthur that Morgan is now an enemy of the state. Fuck Merlin, bro. Fuck Merlin so hard. Like, this chick can't catch a freaking break. At least she is with her beloved and her friends, her core family. Her son, Arthur, has decided will not return to Camelot and will remain with her husband, his father. So she sort of lost her son as well. And I'm like dying, because I sort of know how Morgan has been portrayed in the other like Arthurian legends, and it's not good. And things do not work out for her. And I'm like, is this how it's going to go? Because obviously we're rooting for Morgan, okay? Morgan is the hero and the one that we are hoping turns out all right. Everyone else can go suck a dick. So I think there's 150 pages left, so I'm just over halfway. Okay, so Arthur came after Merlin died. So Merlin died, Arthur came, and he's like, if you come back and you earn my forgiveness, you can be part of my court again. And she's like, excuse me, bitch? What did you just say? Earn your forgiveness? You besmirched my name and then took my son from me. I don't think so. And so they had a bit of a Mexican standoff, and she's like, leave. And he's like, you were exiled. And she's like, good. Bye, bitch. So he went back, and it's been 4 years, and she's been happy and living a wonderful life with her lover and her friends in her mother's castle, obviously without her 2 sons. But now her lover's, whose name is Accolon's cousin, who's also a knight, has found them. And he said that Arthur demands that he come to court, or he will remove the cousin from court if Accolon doesn't make an appearance. So Accolon's like, I need to do this for my cousin. But Morgan's like, I don't like this. Please don't go. But he said, it's my honor and I must help my cousin. So I've got a bad feeling. She's given him Excalibur's scabbard to keep him safe. But I've got a bad feeling about this. I don't think this is going to be a love story with a happy ending. And I don't like it. Not one little bit. So, Accolon is dead. Arthur killed him and sent word that Morgan is to be killed for being an adulteress. She ran into her husband and her son. Her son doesn't know who she is. Her husband asked her to come back with him and be his queen, and she's refused. She's left the court. She's gone to her lover's body and taken his heart so that she could bury it under the willow tree at their house like he asked. Fuck. And I think she's about to turn full villain, scorched earth, and rightly so. So I hope she fucking takes them all out, to be honest with you. God damn it, you full Accolon. Okay, I had to go wash my makeup off because tears absolutely ruined it. So Accolon is dead, though I am confused why she didn't even try to resurrect him. I would have thought she would have attempted that. Anyway, she ends up having a bit of a showdown with Lady of the Lake, but the Lady of the Lake runs off because Lady of the Lake was also behind Accolon's death, and King Arthur's there. She decides not to kill him though, which I'm like, he just killed the love of your life. Like, fuck that guy, brother or not. But King Arthur has now rode upon her house, and she turned like her and all of her friends that are left into a Stonehenge. to elude him, so he's just rinned off. So we've got the last 20 pages left. I don't know, like I was hoping she would just annihilate everybody, but I don't know if she's got it in her, so we'll see what happens in the last 20 pages. Okay, so she's just come across a knight of King Arthur's. Sir Manison, so it's Accolon's cousin. He'd been beaten because he was fucking some dude's wife. Because he loves her. She said this knight is no friend of mine. He doesn't know Accolon's dead. She's blaming him. You told him to go back. So she's decided to intervene and stop his death. She turned his heart to stone and then put it under the willow tree, as was his wish. Oh, maybe she is going to try to bring him back. She still has his heart, so I still think could have tried with his whole body. So she's going for the Shroud of Tithonus, which is what Merlin had. He kept it because he wanted her to learn necromancy just in case they needed to bring Arthur back from the dead. She's sending a message to Arthur. The loyal sister who once loved him is now a fury reborn. King Arthur will feel my wrath and remember me and know what it is to have Morgan as an enemy. I am Morgan Le Fay. Is it going to be another one then? Oh, Jesus. I was going to say, she better bring him back. I wanted her to be a bit more cutthroat. Maybe that's in the next one. You know, like the Morgan Le Fay that we read about. I was like, okay, it's justified though. It's justified. Arthur can die a horrible, painful death. Merlin's already dead. The Lady of the Lake too. What the F? That was harsh because she considered her a friend. So it's very confusing. She doesn't understand why the Lady of the Lake betrayed her the way she did. But I don't know. I'm not ready to condemn her because I'm like, oh, maybe there's reasons. Obviously, I feel sad. Like she's got 2 sons that won't know her at all. So I hope she gets her lover back. He was a good guy. Even though he was stupid that time in book 1 where he saw her with the king, was like, oh, she's chosen some other dude over me. I'm just going to fuck off without asking her why she did it. What am I going to give this book? What am I going to give it? I'm leaning between 4.5 and 4.75. I think this one was mostly the love story between her and, I keep forgetting his name. It's like Accolas or something. Why do I not remember names? Accolon. And yeah, like all of the characters like Arthur and Merlin, they have been douchebagified. They, you know, it's the twist, whereas they're the heroes in the traditional Camelot story and Morgan's the villain, and it's obviously been flipped over. Guinevere though is the worst in both of those. Her and was it Gawain? Lancelot, whoever it is, that hasn't begun. Oh, I'm just trying to think. I think I'm gonna go with a 4.5. I did enjoy it. It was a little bit long. I feel like I could have been cut down a little bit. It is kind of infuriating because, like I said, I kept wanting more from her. I wanted her to use those powers. Use the powers, babes. Like, don't stay your hand. Just do it now. Have it be done, you know? And yeah, I really did expect her to fully break and rage at the sight of her dead lover's mutilated body. I thought that was the moment. She's in the court. That's the time. Guinevere's there, toast her, go track down Arthur, kill him, find the Lady of the Lake, kill her. But she didn't. She's done none of those things. She hasn't, like, killed anybody. So I wanted a bit more bloodshed from her hand. But otherwise, like, yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, the writing's fine. It's not amazing. So 4.5. 4.5 stars is my rating. So good start, we're off to a good start. So we'll see. I'm having no expectations for the next book. I don't know if it'll be my cup of tea. Obviously I will read it all the way through because this is the Wild Ones Book Club vlog. So it's all the way through. Fingers crossed I enjoy it. But I'll see you when I start that one. I don't think I'm going to start it today. I'm a bit tired still. That was actually quite emotionally draining. I have lost many fluids, must replenish them. I don't know if I can do it, guys. I don't know if I can do it. I just read the first chapter of this. I'm sorry if there's too much light, isn't there? Is that better? I don't like it. Not one little bit. It is so bogan. It is so Aussie. Too much. I don't like the couple. Something seems to have happened to their building. All the people are on the street. There seem to be border closures. Obviously, it's set in a dystopian climate change future. But this couple just got into a fight with all these other people and their kids just peed on them. I don't like it. I'm going to do one more chapter, but knowing what happened with the mother fault, I'm not going to push through. I just don't want to push through if I know I'm going to be giving a book a 2 stars or less. You know? So far I severely dislike it. So one more chapter and we'll see. I'm DNFing. I just really don't like the language at all. There's a lot of cussing. Like I said, it's very, very bogan. I don't like any of the characters and it's written in a very confusing way. I read an extra chapter, so 3 chapters, and I'm just like, what the is happening? And no. I'm sorry, I know I'm Australian, but the really ochre stuff, I don't. It does my head in. So can't read this. Going to DNF it. I'm just going to quickly read the ending, just for shits and giggles, and say. So yeah, no, I'm kind of glad I didn't push through. This just isn't for me. I'm sure somebody out there will like it. I will be donating it. But yeah, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I've reached the point where I will not force myself to push through a book I am thoroughly disliking, and that was the case with this one. But now I'm going to go on to show you what you can vote for the next Wild Ones Book Club. Okay, so now I'm going to let you know what the options are for the next Wild Ones Book Club that you can vote on. So the first option is Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid, and it says that this is a reimagining of Lady Macbeth, Shakespeare's most famous villainess, giving her a voice, a past, and a power that transforms a story men have written for her. The lady knows the stories, how her eyes induce madness in men. The lady knows she will be wed to the Scottish brute, who does not leave his warrior ways behind when he comes to the marriage bed. The lady knows his hostile, suspicious court will be a game of strategy, requiring all her wiles and hidden witchcraft to survive. But the lady does not know her husband has occult secrets of his own. She does not know that prophecy girds him like armor. She does not know her magic is greater and more dangerous, and that it will threaten the order of the world. She does not know this yet, but she will. The next book is called Sunderworld Volume 1, The Extraordinary Disappointments of Leopold Berry by Ransom Riggs. This is a new fantasy series by the author who wrote Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children. 17-year-old Leopold Berry is seeking weird things around LA. A man who pops a tooth into a parking meter, a glowing trapdoor in a parking lot, a half-mechanical raccoon with its tail on fire that just won't leave him alone. Every hallucinatory moment seems plucked from a cheesy 1990s fantasy show called Max's Adventures in Sunderworld. And that's because they are. Not a good sign. In the blurry weeks after his mother's death, a young Leopold discovered VHS tapes of its one and only season in a box headed for the trash, and soon became obsessed. Losing himself in Sunder was the best way to avoid 2 things: grieving his mother and being a chronic disappointment to his overbearing father. But when strange visions return, at the worst possible time, on the worst possible day, Leopold turns to his best friend Emmett for help. Together, they discover that Sunder is much more than just an old TV show, and that LA is far stranger than they ever imagined. And soon, he'll realize that not only is Sunderworld real, but it's in grave danger. Certain he's been chosen for greatness, Leopold risks everything to claim his destiny, save the world of his childhood dreams, and prove once and for all that he's not the disappointment his father believes him to be. But when everything goes terribly, horribly, excruciatingly wrong, Leopold's disappointments prove to be more extraordinary than he could have ever imagined. How do you battle darkness when no one believes in you, not even yourself? Welcome to Sunderworld. And then we have A Sorceress Comes to Call by T. Kingfisher, a dark retelling of Brother Grimm's Goose Girl, rife with secrets, murder, and forbidden magic. Cordelia knows her mother is unusual. The house doesn't have doors between rooms, and her mother doesn't allow Cordelia to have a single friend. Unless you count Falada, her mother's beautiful white horse. The only time Cordelia feels truly free is on her daily rides with him. But more than simple eccentricity sets her mother apart. Other mothers don't force their daughters to be silent and motionless for hours, sometimes days on end. Other mothers aren't sorcerers. After a suspicious death in their small town, Cordelia's mother insists they leave in the middle of the night, riding away on Falada's back, leaving behind all Cordelia has ever known. They arrive at the remote country manor of a wealthy man, the Squire, and his unwed sister, Hester. Cordelia's mother intends to lure the Squire into marriage, and Cordelia knows this can only be bad news for the bumbling gentleman and his kind, intelligent sister. Hester sees the way Cordelia shrinks away from her mother. How the young girl sits eerily still at dinner every night. Hester knows that to save her brother from bewitchment and to rescue the terrified Cordelia, she will have to face down a wicked witch of the worst kind. And the final book choice is The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. What looks like magic is simply a part of life we don't understand yet. When retired math teacher Grace Winters is left a rundown house on a Mediterranean island by a long-lost friend, curiosity gets the better of her. She arrives in Ibiza with a one-way ticket, no guidebook and no plan. Among the rugged hills and golden beaches of the island, Grace searches for answers about her friend's life and how it ended. What she uncovers is stranger than she could have dreamed. But to dive into this impossible truth, Grace must first come to terms with her past. Filled with wonder and wild adventure, this is a story of hope and the life-changing power of a new beginning. So those are all of your options. Feel free to vote for whichever one you want to see me read and tell you all about. And until next time, stay wild, Star Child.